In this video, I want to show how to work with geometric sequences. The idea of a geometric sequence means you have to multiply. Geometric sequence means you have to multiply. So just like in arithmetic sequences, you have your first term, which is denoted by A1. Then you have a common ratio, or your multiplying factor. And this is what you multiply by. So to develop the first 5 terms of this sequence, you take 2, 2 times 3. Give me your, that will give you 6. 3 will be 6 times 3, which will give you 18. And a 4 will be 18 times 3, which should be 54, or sorry, 54. And then a 5 would be 54 times 3. Which would be 162. And here's the first 5 terms of your sequence. 2, 6, 18, 54, and 162. And there's your geometric sequence. Wait, so you know I'm done. There's your final answer. In this sequence, we're multiplying by a common ratio of -1/3. So our first term is 90, and this is my common ratio. So to get A2, it'll be 90 times -1/3. Should be -30. To get A3, we do -30 times -1/3, which would be a negative times a negative is a positive, so that'll be 10. We get A4, that'll be 10 times -1/3. Better. That'll be -10 thirds. And to get A5, we do -10 thirds times -1/3. And that will give me 10/9. And our sequence would be 90, -30, 10, -10 thirds, and 10 ninths. The first 4 terms are given of a geometric sequence. What is the 5th term in the sequence? So we want to figure out what we're multiplying by. So we're going to take the CH, we'll call this A or G1. G1. This will be G2, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do 6 divide 2. That will give me 3. So we know our common factor is 3. So the only thing we have left to do is do 54 times 3. And that should give me 162. So A6 will be 162. This was a little bit different because of the fraction. But again, we're trying to find the 5th term. So we're going to do 1/8 divided by negative 132. So remember with fractions, keep the first one, change it to a multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. So be to the reciprocal, so 32 over 1 negative. A negative times a positive will be a negative, so negative 32 over 8. So my common ratio would be negative 4. So we're going to define A6. Do 2 times negative 4, which will give me negative 8. And I'm done. In this problem, we're trying to find an explicit formula and a recursive formula for the geometric sequence. To find the explicit formula, it's in the form G of n equals G1 R to n minus 1, where your G1 is your first term and R is your common ratio. So in this situation, G1 equals 168, which is my first term. And R, or my common ratio, to figure that out, we do 84 divide 168, and that should be 1/2. So my explicit formula would be Gn equals 168 parentheses 1/2 and minus 1. And I'll use the color scheming of yellow for my G1 and green for my common ratio. The recursive, this is my explicit formula. The recursive formula is similar to what we did with arithmetic sequences. To figure that out, it's always going to be in the form G1 or G1 equals, and that's just the first term. And then we have Gn equals R, which is by common ratio, to be 1/2 Gn minus 1. So in general, the recursive formula is just G1. Then we have Gn, which equals R Gn minus 1. Again, we use the same coloring scheme for my common ratio and my common ratio. Okay, so we have a geometric sequence given by the formula AI equals 3 times -1/4 to the I minus 1. And it's asked us to find the fifth term of the sequence. So what we do is we just plug in 5 for I. So it will be 3 -1/4 to 5 minus 1. Simplifying the arithmetic, we -1/4 to the 4th. Now we use a calculator. And we end up with put the final answer. In decimal terms, would be the final answer would be 3/256, since 4 to the 4th power equals 256. And that's my final answer. In this example, we're given a recursive formula. We're being asked to find the fourth term of the sequence. What's nice about this, we're given the first term. So we're going to use that first term to figure out each successive term. So I'm going to define a to the I minus 1 to mean previous term. So we know A1 equals 1/8. So we'll find A2 now. So we'll say 2 times 1/8, which is 2/8, which is just 1/4. A3 would be 2 again times the previous term, so times 1/4. So that would be 2/4, which reduces it to 1/2. And then we have A4, which we're looking for, which would be 2 times 1/2, which is the same thing as 2 over 2. So my fourth term is 1, and we are done.